Alright, welcome back. Chapter 1. We are just getting started on the 4 agreements. I'm sorry, this is not the 4 agreements. This is the 5 levels of attachment. I'm going to jump right into it here. Chapter 1. An exploration of perception and potential. Our points of view create our realities. When we are stuck in our beliefs, our reality becomes rigid, stagnant, and oppressive. We become bound to our attachments because we have lost our ability to recognize that we have a choice to be free of them. When we look at ourselves in the mirror, often we hear a narrative in our mind of what we see, a definition of self in the form of an identity that is based on our agreements and thoughts and beliefs that we have said yes to. This identity stems from ideological beliefs that have come to us over a period of time from our family, culture, religion, education, friends, and beyond. And these beliefs are encapsulated in a single system that is represented in the reflected image of a physical living being. In my case, I am a living being named Miguel Ruiz Jr. Not me, but this guy. With a point of view that is uniquely my own. Each one of my agreements represents an attachment I have created for myself over the course of my lifetime. For example, when I look into the mirror, I perceive myself in this way. I am Miguel, a Toltec, a Nagual, a spiritual guide, a Mexican American, an American, a Mezquita, a husband, a father, a writer, and so on. The list of definitions in my reflections. This list of self-definitions is my reflection, and when I really look at myself, I can hear the narration of my agreements in the conditions that I have become to model for self-acceptance. Let me repeat that. This list of self-definitions in my reflection, and when I really look at myself, I can hear the narration of my agreements and the conditions that have become my model for self-acceptance. My thoughts are the narrators of my attachments, my belief system. I project onto the image of myself the values and attributes that reflect my beliefs. The more attached I am to my beliefs, the more difficult it is to see myself for who I am at this moment. The less freedom I have to see life from a fresh perspective and perhaps choose a different path. As my attachments become more intense and more entrenched, I lose the awareness of my authentic self, and it becomes obscured by the filters of my belief system. In the Toltec tradition, we call this the smoky mirror. The smoky mirror that doesn't allow us to perceive our authentic self. What gives these attachments their strengths is conditional love. What gives these attachments their strength is conditional love. When you look in the mirror, instead of accepting yourself for who you are at this very moment, you likely start telling yourself why you are unacceptable in your current form. And what you need to do is to be able to accept yourself. I must meet this expectation to be worthy of my own love. I'm going to repeat this paragraph. What gives these attachments their strength is conditional love. When you look in the mirror, instead of accepting yourself for who you are at this very moment, you likely start telling yourself why you are unacceptable in your current form and what you need to do to be able to accept yourself. I must meet this expectation to be worthy of my own love. The desire to obtain the flawless fulfillment of the archetypal model of each one of my agreements distorts my reflection even more. I begin to judge and evaluate myself according to the standards of my agreements, which I have turned into the conditions for self-acceptance. I have implemented a system for reward and punishment to train myself to reach the archetypal model. This is known in the Toltec tradition as domestication. The primary tool used to domesticate oneself is self-judgment. Using my archetypal model of what I am, Miguel, is supposed to mean, I see upon looking at my reflection and perceived flaws and inadequacies, all my domestication springs into action. I am not smart enough, I am not attractive enough, I don't have enough, I am lacking this or that, and so on. Self-judgment resides where self-acceptance wishes to be. Our attachments to these negative beliefs and self-judgments can become so normal that we do not recognize them as condemnations anymore. We accept them as part of who we are, but at the very basic level, our self-judgments and all our consequences of what we believe about ourselves at the core, whether we accept or reject ourselves. But at the very basic level, our self-judgments are the consequences of what we believe about ourselves at the core, whether we accept or reject ourselves. Of all the beliefs to detach from, this is the most important one. Let go of the attachment that you must obtain some image of perfection in order to be happy. And this isn't only about appearances. It includes the way we think, the philosophy we follow, our spiritual pursuits, and our place in society. All these things are conditions upon which we accept ourselves. We think that in order to be worthy of our own love, we must live up to the expectations we place on ourselves, but we need to realize that these expectations are the expressions of our agreements, not of our true nature. Ironically, it is often the moment we have the opportunity to see the truth, when we are faced with our reflection, whether as a mirror of the outside world, that narrator speaks the loudest. Ironically, it is often the moment that we have the opportunity to see the truth when we are faced with our own reflection, whether in a mirror or outside in the world. The narrator speaks the loudest. I know of people, myself included, who have refused to look at themselves in the mirror because of self-judgments were deafening. It is impossible for people, teens and adults alike, to live up to an illusion. Of course, it is easy to blame our media, our culture, or our community for perpetuating an image of what is expected of us. We are flooded with commercials of art and archetypal images of heroes and heroines, beautiful damsels in distress, and professional athletes, examples of ugliness and how to not be. But at the very core of it, there is no one to blame, because there is no one to blame, because a commercial, like self-judgment, has no power over us unless we agree with its message. It is only when we willingly attach ourselves to these images and distortions that our happiness is compromised. We do not need to take the blame for these self-judgments. We can simply become aware that they have been developing in our lives since childhood through the process of domestication. Once we are aware of our self-judgments, we can reclaim our freedom by choosing for ourselves to transcend the rewards and punishment model that has been imposed upon us, eventually arriving at a place of self-acceptance. We have a choice. That is our power. When you look into the mirror, you are the only one who can hear your narrators. Only you know what those self-judgments are. They take whatever voice and shape you give them, but they are only the expressions of something you've already said yes to. You can make the choice to detach yourself from the standards that you create and an unrealistic image of yourself by knowing that you have the power to say no. When you no longer believe in a self-judgment, it will no longer have any power over you. You can choose to view yourself from a place of acceptance based on undeniable truth that you are already perfect and complete exactly the way you are right now. From this point of view, you may still choose to make some life changes, but now the motivation to change is not because you hope to someday love yourself, but because you already do love yourself. When the reflection is viewed from this angle, change flows in synchronicity with the trajectory of your life, and the possibilities are limitless. Suffering only occurs when we forget that. Mistaking perfection for imperfection. When my father first tried to get me to understand that I am perfect, I found it impossible to accept. I tried to understand, but I couldn't. I was attached to my beliefs that perfection is something to be attained through hard work and dedication, and I'm still a long way to go. How could I be perfect? I hadn't yet accomplished my goals. I wasn't where I wanted to be. I couldn't attract the girl I wanted. I didn't weigh what I thought I should weigh. On and on I went with my diatribe, managing to ascertain and then judge all of my imperfections. With this kind of perfection, whenever our story does not match our beliefs, we judge it as imperfect. Then we punish ourselves for not showing up to our beliefs on how we think we should live. We eventually acquire a definition of perfection that has nothing to do with actual perfection. Being free from all flaws or defects. Most often we read this definition through the eyes of judgment, from the point of view of someone outside who's trying to live up to the stories we have created about ourselves. If we do happen to achieve perfection momentarily from this point of view, we reward ourselves with conditional self-love. Then we use conditional self-love as our motivator to pursue the distorted idea of perfection in the future. It's a circuitous problem. I continued to struggle with this concept as I grew older. Still, my father persisted throughout the years with this message. He told me, "Miguel, when you understand that you are perfect just the way you are, you'll see that everything is perfect just the way it is." It is not easy to wake up one day and say, "You're perfect," and actually believe it. It requires desire and commitment. First, you leave behind any false ideals of perfection. You release your attachment to what you believe in, what you believe it means to be the perfect you. In order to learn this lesson, I needed to stop judging myself for not meeting my own expectations and accept myself for who I am at this very moment. I began at the beginning, learning to love myself and giving gratitude for every morning to be alive. Gratitude every morning for being alive. Second, you view life through the eyes of an artist and accept that everything is a work in progress, a never-ending masterpiece. Every brushstroke is perfect simply because it exists. As the paint hits the canvas, it grows and develops into what it is, even if it doesn't always have the ability to outline and keep in the lines. Even if we don't always have the outline to keep us in the lines. Whether colorful scribbles or a detailed landscape, each element of the piece is fulfilling and complete. Each element of the piece is fulfilling and complete, even as we continue to paint, changing and evolving with every stroke of life. As my father says, our life is a canvas and we're all Picassos. From an early age, it is ingrained in almost every one of us that we must achieve certain ideals or become a somebody in order to be worthy of our own acceptance, of our own love. Existing within this, as soon as I have this, or as soon as I do that mentality, chains us to the belief that we are not free to live our lives now. Many of us are familiar with Miguel de Canteve's great literary masterpiece, Don Quixote. In it, retired gentleman Alphonse Coelho moves to La Mancha and becomes so caught up in books of chivalry that his sense of reality becomes distorted and his identity transforms into the character of Don Quixote. He sees the world through filters of fantasy and adventure. Whatever reality presents, Don Quixote redirects the story to fit his own expectations and beliefs. By the end, our hero is defeated and dejected, after chasing an image of that forever eludes him. Chasing after an image that forever eludes him. Like Don Quixote, we are constantly investing ourselves into the stories that we want to believe. We create our own personal personas so that we are somebody. When I was young, I looked on various identities. I took on various identities. I was Miguel Ruiz Jr. the Goth. Then I became Miguel the Intellectual. Then Miguel the Bohemian. Then Miguel the Artist, and so on. I gave myself rules the same way Don Quixote created his rules, through a distorted perception of who I was. Other people would see their own truth and wonder what I was doing, but all I saw was what I wanted to see. And like Don Quixote, faithful servant Sapanza, I heard many stories, and I knew I was being a little crazy, but I believed them just in case I was right. I spent many years trying to live up to those images I created of myself before discovering that this is who I am, no story needed. It's really me. I am perfect at this very moment. That is all I need to enjoy my life. Once I learned this, I could change my life in any direction I saw fit and give in any moment. I now had the freedom to choose. The possibilities became endless, just as they always had been. I did not make changes in my life today because I feel I must change in order to accept and love myself. I make changes to express myself and experience more of life because I already accept and love myself for who I am. Flaws and defects originate from our own idea and beliefs. In order to recognize perfection or to see the world and ourselves as is, we become aware of our attachments and to our ideas and beliefs and let them go, even if only briefly, to see beyond them. I have always been perfect, and so have you. When we can't perceive this, it's because we are too busy judging everything for not being something other than what it is. The world and everything in it is perfect simply because it exists, and this at this very moment, in this only manner that it could possibly exist. The same is true for me and you, and that is perfection. I am because I am at this moment. This is what freedom is. The ability to enjoy and to be exactly who you are without suppressing yourself in the form of judgment. A bird is a bird. A Sergo is a Sergo. A human is a human. Miguel is Miguel. You are you. Perfect. From that point of view, change is different. If we try to change without first accepting who we are, we risk creating more false images of ourselves. But if we accept ourselves for who we are at this very moment, we can change because we want to grow and evolve with life. Love is no longer the condition for change. It is the starting point. Love is no longer the condition for change. It is the starting point for change. This is the true meaning of unconditional love. Well, that was chapter 1. Pardon all the mispronunciations. There was a lot of words in Spanish in there, and I can't recall how to pronounce them correctly. But still a lot of great ideas. A lot of great ideas he's touching on unconditional love, and specifically adopting the perspective of we are perfect right now as we are. With that perspective comes an altered motivations. Right? We're no longer motivating ourselves because we're ashamed or we are coming from a state of lack. You know, I need money, I want to lose weight. Those are motivations that are based in lack, low self-worth, whereas we're trying to strive for positive motivations. We're trying to strive for motivations coming from love and gratitude and joy, bliss, all the good stuff. But that's chapter 1. We got a little bit more left. Let's see how many more chapters we got in this book. 14 chapters. It's gonna be good. You'll enjoy it. Love you lots. See you soon.